giving it a couple of minutes before people join in. We are giving it a couple of more seconds or maybe 2 minutes for people to join in before we start the webinar. Thank you so much for joining in, those who are joining in. We have a very exciting webinar coming up today.
We're live now.
Thank you, Aditya.
Thanks.
For those who are joining in now, we are waiting a couple of more seconds for people to join in so that we can start. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in, whoever is joining in from various parts of the country. All right, we have a long way to go. We have a very long session for today, so let's begin. Thank you so much, everyone who's joining in. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, A Kit to Launch a Career in Cybersecurity from Classroom to Command Center, Essential Steps for New Professionals. My name is Hina Kausar. I am Deputy Manager, ITES Sector Skill Council, NASSCOM, and I will be your moderator for today. Thank you all for joining us once again. We have an exciting and informative session planned for today, and we are thrilled to have you here. Cybersecurity is one of the fastest growing fields in technology, and it offers numerous career opportunities for those who are ready to dive in. If I quote some numbers, in 2023 alone, the cybersecurity industry in India employed close to 3 lakh people. According to NASSCOM's report, the cybersecurity sector in India could create over 1 million jobs by 2025. That is next year, when it's expected to reach $35 billion. According to the World Economic Forum, India is short of over 8 lakh cybersecurity professionals. So that's a whopping number. Today, we will be exploring what it takes to start a career in this dynamic field, the skills and certifications needed, and the career paths available. But before we begin, let's go over a few details. First, please note that this session is being recorded and it's being live streamed on YouTube, so you can explore maybe our YouTube channels as well. And a link to the recording as well as this whole presentation will be shared with you post the webinar. We encourage you to ask questions during the webinar. You can type your questions in the Q&A box or chat box at any time during the presentation, but be aware that we will only be addressing them towards the end of the session, as many questions as we can take. With that, let's bring our speaker on board. Our speaker for today's session is Mr. Sangamesh S. He's Head Managed Security Services and Cyber Defense with Infosys. He has close to 20 years of experience in cybersecurity and 14 years in Infosys alone. Welcome to the session, Mr. Sangamesh. Thank you for being here. And let's start with our webinar. And I hand over this virtual stage to you.
Thank you, Hina. So, good afternoon, everyone. I think most of the context has been set up by Hina itself in terms of what you can expect as part of this session. And I was approached, I was also checking who are going to be the target audience, and it is, it's told that most of you are students and the early entrance to cybersecurity. It could be within cybersecurity or the other streams as well. So, keeping in mind that, it would be the new set of people who want to explore cybersecurity. I'm keeping this in a very simple and layman terms, making sure that everyone understands what this domain is all about, and what are the opportunities that we have, and how to shape up the career in cybersecurity, right? So without much ado, I'll just get on to the. So if you look at cybersecurity, people have different definitions. To make it very simple, cybersecurity is a subsection of information technology industry where it is focusing in terms of protecting the safety of the computers, networks, and the information or the data that is residing in a digital format from the cyber attacks, right? So we all would have come across different terminologies in the industry, like IT security, and then information security, cyber security, and people actually get confused in terms of what is the difference between, or is it all the one? Actually, it is not the one. It has its own significance, and especially in terms of talking about the cyber security, we will be focusing in terms of protecting the information assets of an individual or for the organization or of the government, right, from any of the cyber attacks. How are we going to protect that? It could be either through encryption, or it could be having different technological controls, or it could be in terms of applying appropriate guardrails to protect the information asset which is in the digital format, right? Sometimes we'll also talk about the protecting the information which are in the hard copy or the printout. If it is sensitive, it is always important to safeguard. So to make it very simple on the definition, cybersecurity is all about protecting the information from any unauthorized access, right? Is it important for anyone to look at it? Of course, it is very much important, especially for the individuals who now we see a lot of attacks being targeted towards an individual, where very well with very well organized and advanced and sophisticated targeted campaigns, and also from the organization perspective to steal the intellectual property, and also in terms of taking advantage of the situation, competitive advantage, and also exfiltrating confidential information, be it a source code or any other internal financial data and whatever, right? And if it is for the government, of course, the defense data and also any other confidential documents and the files that are residing. I mean, there are a lot of attacks that are happening. You all may be aware about the recent attacks which are, on the media in terms of voice phishing and the ransomware attack. Ransomware attacks are primarily been orchestrated by the bad guys, or we call them as a perpetrators or the adversaries, using advanced and sophisticated tactics and techniques with the motive of making money, right? Some demanding for ransom. It earlier it all started with in terms of being opportunistic and demanding ransom, but now it has become more targeted towards the industry or towards the organization, or even in terms of targeting any individual as well. So it is very much important for every one of us to be aware about how we are going to secure our own data. So we have been having the data in terms of our date of birth, birth certificate, or passport details, or health information. So which are coming under the purview of personally identifiable information or personal health information, right? With all these things going around, in fact, your Aadhaar card number, wherever you go, whatever you apply for, it could be for subsidy, or it could be for even opening an account in bank. So you are expected to produce your Aadhaar card, right? What if someone actually gains the access to that, right? They can actually impersonate you, do whatever unprofessional things, unethical things with that, and then carry out any kind of a campaign. So it is very much important for us to protect such kind of sensitive information from unauthorized access. So that's why it is very important for every one of us to know what cybersecurity is, what are the threats that are there, how I can prepare myself to be aware about what is happening in cybersecurity landscape, and if at all I have to start my professional career in cybersecurity, what all the opportunities that are there, what all the different streams are there, and how I can progress in that particular stream. So that is what we are going to talk about for the next 45-50 minutes, right? Please feel free to ask your questions on the chat window, and we will answer all those questions as much as we can by end of the session. If you look at, I was talking about the threat, right? So this is what happens in terms of every second, every minute. What happens in the world is, in terms of lot of attacks, breaches, campaigns, and whatnot, right? The exfiltration, compromise of any sensitive data, or even alteration, the basically challenging the integrity of the data, right? Weaponizing the data itself. There are a lot of other things happening on the cyber threat landscape. It is what something, as a driving factor for the organization, for the individual, and also for the government to make sure that, they are protecting all this information. Regulatory governance has been brought in, making sure that, the organization or the government is expected to have certain security controls and tools and technologies to protect the consumer or customer data, failing to which, the organization is expected to pay hefty penalty, right? So especially of the privacy law coming in Europe with the GDPR, and also now we are actually working on DPDP Act from India perspective. So the moment all these regulatory standards comes, it becomes more pressure on the organization to protect all this data, right? So how can we prepare ourselves to be relevant for the future? All I want to say is, this is one of the era, I would say, the emergence of the controls technologies that are coming in, and people started thinking about security right from the beginning, right? We are in the mid of that era where we are considering security in everything that what we do, be it in terms of launching the rocket, satellite communication, and even to the bare minimum thing of making UPI transaction, right? How we are bringing in security so that, we are securing the entire channel to protect the citizens data, to protect the organization data, to protect individual their own data in the mobile, in the form of anything, in the form of digital, right? So that is where, we are in this space, looking at cybersecurity as one of the fastest growing stream, and also in terms of dynamically evolving and emerging stream in this space, because the attacks and the breaches are happening every now and then. As we speak as well, there are a lot of campaigns that are happening, right? Many attacks and breaches. All we need to know is, in terms of how are we keeping ourselves up to date with that, and then how we as a individual contribute to safeguard ourselves and our society together, right? So that's all about in cybersecurity that we will be looking at. If I look at this information security and cybersecurity, probably let me take a step back in terms of how the cybersecurity as a stream got evolved, right? You might be knowing about the IT controls, OT controls, which has evolved in the late 1940s and 1950s. So it all started with the information technology, and then operations technology, and then slowly, the threats like viruses, worms, trojans have started coming in, and also, the thought of the network got extended beyond the corporates to get into the internet space, right? Digitally getting connected. That's where, everyone started looking at how to secure their organization, how to secure their home network or broadband, or earlier days it used to be a dial-up connection as well, right? So how are we going to secure our systems from these threats? That's why like IT security has come into place, and slowly it evolved in terms of protecting the information assets. That's what we call that as a information security. And now it has further got evolved as a cyber security to protect not only the information but also the underlying infrastructure in terms of your computers, in terms of your network, in terms of the application and whatnot, right? How are we making sure that we are thinking to secure all these things? And the entire spectrum has been conceptualized to follow three principles, right? First one is, in fact, we used to call in short as a CIA triad. CIA is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So any impact to one of these will be considered as a information security or cyber security incident, right? So suppose there is some information about uh, some of the, yeah, probably in the organization aspect I'm telling, it is about an employee's salary, right? That's something confidential between the employer and the employee. But if that confidential information is being made available to everyone in the organization, that is actually treated as a unauthorized access and as a security incident, right? And the second one is integrity. It is to make sure that the information that is available is intact, the integrity is maintained, so that to ensure that there is no alteration or weaponization being done onto the data that is available. That is the single source of truth for us, right? Just to validate the integrity of the data, to make sure that it is being properly handled, secured, either at storage or in the transit as well. When I say storage, it is when you are getting it stored. Transit is when you are accessing it remotely through applications or database, whatever, right? How are we making sure that we put appropriate controls around this to safeguard the data, or retaining the integrity of the data? That matters. If there is, I'll again take an example in terms of employee's salary itself. Say suppose if an employee's salary is 3 lakh, and due to unauthorized access the 3 lakh can be made as 30 lakh as well, right? That is again questioning the integrity of that particular data. So that those kind of things are treated as a security incidents. The third one is availability. So while we are talking about the confidentiality and integrity of the data, and if it is, if it needs to be available when it is required, right? So say suppose if I have to access my own salary information for applying for a loan, and it is not available, so what, for whatsoever reason, though I am an authorized user and it is my own data, if I'm not able to access to due to various reasons in terms of the system not provisioning the access, or system going offline, and the data is not available due to whatsoever reason, that those are the things also be taken into consideration as a security incident, right? To make it very simple, as I said, anything which is impacting any of these or all of these will be treated as a security incident, right? Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. When you take these things and apply on top of any security incident or breaches, you can see why it is treated as a security incident. Let me take an example, explain with an example, right? We all know about a ransomware attack. So what it does is it encrypts the file, making sure that you don't have the access to the data, which means there is a impact on availability of the data that is on your system. You are not able to access it because the threat has encrypted the entire files of the drive. So If you look at any of the security incident, it will be revolving around these three principles of confidentiality, integrity, and availability. When we talk about these security incidents, of course, these are coming from threats, right? So a threat is defined as a malicious act that attempts to gain access to the computer system without appropriate authorization or permission from the owners or the data subject in terms of the privacy. Okay, so anything that is trying to intrude without proper authorization is considered as an unauthorized access, and any further subsequent action done either in terms of exfiltration of the data or deleting the data, encrypting the data, whatsoever, those are the things that we treat those as a threats, cybersecurity threats. And there are lot of threats in terms of the trojans, viruses, ransomware, malware, phishing attack, all those things that we have been seeing in the world, right? The entire ecosystem, be it individual, be it the organization or the government, irrespective of being in any geography, are experiencing these threats on a daily basis, right? So everyone should be made aware about what is happening from a overall threat landscape perspective. That is what putting the organization to bring in appropriate security controls, measures, and processes to make sure that they are sorry, they are protecting the information assets. We look at the way that how the cybersecurity has been perceived in the organization of the enterprise. Of course, in terms of maintaining an effective ISMS, information security management system, which is primarily focusing on 100 plus control objectives spanning across data security, HR security, physical security, network security, all those things. So it is primarily in terms of having the appropriate process in place to protect the organization and to protect the information as well. Okay. Second one is in terms of embedding the security into the life cycle itself. When I say life cycle, it is about creating a network architecture diagram, considering security by design itself. It could be network, it could be application, or it could be anything that's been getting implemented, right? Cloud adoption. How are we going to, when we are moving to the cloud, our data is getting hosted in someone else's data center. How it is getting secured? Am I enabling appropriate controls to make sure that we are bringing in additional layer of security? And also we are thinking about having defense in depth strategy to make sure that the information or the data is getting secured, right? And also by doing periodic security assessments of vulnerability scans, and also making sure that you are hardening your systems by implementing appropriate policies, and also to adhere to the defined regulatory standards, making sure that we comply to the defined standards based on the industry requirements. If you look at the BFSI sector, they have to adhere to PCI DSS compliance, and if you are in the healthcare industry, you have to comply to HIPAA standards, and there are other regulatory standards for different industries. So all these standards have been brought in to make sure that the organization comply to those defined controls, control objectives, making sure that they have required security technologies and the security tools, processes in place to protect the information of the data, right? And of course, as an ongoing activity, the organization is looking at in terms of exploring new technology, the risk that is coming out with the adoption of those technologies, and how are we going to adapt to those evolving and emerging technologies in a secure way. And most important aspect is in terms of creating the security awareness, right? So security awareness is not an individual, not an organization's mandate alone. It is about the culture. We don't call that as a security awareness as a initiative by the organization, or it is an program on its own, all those things. It is actually the culture that the organization is creating, so that everyone understands what is what all the do's and don'ts as per the information security or cyber security policies, and how they can safeguard the information, intellectual property, data of customers and their own organization, right? So that is very much important for an organization to look at. And when we talk about the individuals, we, as I said, right, we all are connected. At least we will be having minimum of 2 to 3 gadgets which are smart devices, right? Be it our mobile phone, be it our smartwatch, and many of us will be having smart TVs at home, and we are actually using the smart speakers like Alexa, right? So while these are giving the better user experience, but it is also coming with its own risk. If I have to put the way that how these are introducing risk is, let me take an example of Alexa itself. It's a smart speaker. I mean, we are giving a voice command and it is responding with the appropriate data. And many people will say, like, at least Alexa is listening to my words, not my parents or spouse or whomever, right? So if you look at the way it's been designed, is to listen to your conversation and gets activated only when you call it as Alexa followed by the question. Similarly, the Google speakers like OK Google, right? In Apple iOS, all those things like a Siri is there. So these are the things that actually listening to your conversations and gets invoked only when its name being called followed by the question that you are asking. But have you ever thought like, okay, it is actually invading to my privacy? Because it is actually, right, because it is listening to all your conversation. But think about a situation if I can weaponize and then compromise the Alexa devices, then I can actually be eavesdropping to all your private conversation that you have in the room. So that is again an invasion of these smart technologies into our life, but we are actually consuming and using it without even understanding the risk of adopting those gadgets and the advanced technologies. So that's why I say it is very important for every one of us to understand about the threat landscape, and it is not cybersecurity is not only meant for the organization or the government, it is also for the individual. That's why I say like it is everyone's responsibility, right? Just to quote some examples, if you I'm sure like many of you would have come across this, like you would have got a lottery of 5 lakh 50 lakh whatever, and then click that link to encash it. It comes through SMS, what we call as a smishing, and it is coming to your mailbox as well, to your emails, that what we call there is a phishing email. And there might be a lot of ads coming in where you just scan the QR code and then it takes to your malicious site where it downloads some malicious files to compromise your devices. And especially in the recent past, we are seeing like a lot of FedEx frauds. So this is something what we call that as a voice phishing, right? So they impersonate that they are calling from FedEx courier, or they are calling from the customs, and they say like there is some contraband, or rather some drugs being sent from your name and address, and we'll be filing a case, all those things, and then they are actually demanding whatever that they wanted from the people. And we have been seeing this kind of incidents are on high, especially in past 3-4 months. At least 4 to 5 major cases are getting filed on this, right? So this is something that what we call as a voice phishing or wishing, right? So you need to be aware about this, and these are getting orchestrated in the back end, and they're primarily targeting the old age people who are not even aware about whether these kind of threats can also be there, or these are the different tactics that's been adopted by the perpetrators to exfiltrate the money demand for the ransom, right? So that's why it is very important for you to know. Coming back to the organization dynamics, if you look at cybersecurity, you have different streams. While it is a single domain, but it has got different streams in terms of network security, identity and access management, endpoint security, application security, security monitoring and incident response, data security, and all. If you look at the way that organization is looking at this entire stream, is to have, though there are different streams, the industry is moving towards the technology consolidation of bringing everything together. If you look at monitoring and logging, where we have SIEM, UEBA, threat intelligence, analytics, dashboards getting it created, malware analysis, reverse engineering, all those threat hunting, all those things coming in. But though at least like 5-6 years back, it was everything as a standalone. We had separate SIM platform, separate UEBA platform, threat intelligence platform being separate, all those things. Now the industry is actually fusioning all these technologies together, providing as a platform as a service model, right? So if you look at the way for starting your career in cybersecurity, I would suggest you to first get the breadth of knowledge across the different streams, and then based on your interest in terms of where you are really good at it, where you can focus, and then start investing your time for learning on the specific areas, right? It is need not necessarily be like a single technology. There are different technologies that are available. I mean, you can, probably I have a slide on this. If you look at like the technology vendors are providing a lot of solutions, and this is a very indicative list. It is not even 0.5 percentage of the product OEMs that I have listed here, right? There are hundreds of organizations that are providing cybersecurity solutions across the different streams that I was mentioning, right? So it actually shows that like the entire industry is moving or giving a focus for cybersecurity, because it is irrespective of any industry, irrespective of any geography. This is something that is getting mandated by the respective regulatory bodies for the organization, and also from the organization perspective as well. It is very important for them to uh, you know uh, retain the trust of their customers and the stakeholders by protecting their data. They don't want to be there in the media for wrong reason of getting breached without having appropriate security controls and tools in place, right? So given this background, you might be asking like, how can I start the cyber security career? Probably, you might be asking like, I had given the entire spectrum of opportunities that are available in the enterprise. um, how to start, right? That's the next question. So as a beginner, you should be looking at in terms of understanding what this entire stream is all about, and then shaping up your career based on your interest and what you're good at it. Probably someone might be good in terms of finding the fault, right? I would suggest them to explore on vulnerability scanning and penetration testing, right? VAPT is what we call vulnerability assessment and pen testing, so that you will be good at in terms of finding the vulnerabilities, trying to exploit it, all those things. Someone will be good at in terms of network management, right? Designing the network, and then managing the network, all those things. While they might be as a network administrator in the IT, but they want to look at opportunities in cyber. Of course, there are a lot of opportunities. That is what I'm going to talk about, right? So if you really look at the opportunities from the network stream perspective, I'm just taking an example where you can start with. As a beginner, you can start from anywhere, but if at all I have to put someone who is actually in a different stream and also want to pursue into cybersecurity, how they can look at it, right? So I'm taking an example of the IT administrators or the network stream, where there are roles of network engineer, network administrator, network consultant, network operations center engineer, and then system administrators or data center engineer who will be looking at the IT systems, its maintenance, and making sure that the systems are up and running, network is up and running, all those things, right? If they want to get into the cyber security roles, there are a lot of opportunities in the security stream where that would be fitting into them, right? So it could be a network engineer or the network administrator can hone up their skills to become an enterprise security architect, or a network security consultant as well, or a firewall administrator, or a business development manager, from a perspective of being a consultant, how the entire business can be secured, right? And then being a network architect or red teamer, end user computing analyst or endpoint analyst is what we say. SOC analyst. SOC is Security Operations Center, where these threats are being monitored, analyzed, investigated, and contained as well, right? So there are opportunities across the security stream, even if your profile is in different stream as well. As another example I can even talk about is like for a person who's in the development, who's really good in writing the codes, do they have opportunity in cybersecurity? Of course, the answer is yes. They can write a lot of security orchestration and automation playbooks. I mean, all they need to know is Python. They can write a lot of automation scripts for that. And even otherwise, if they are really good in terms of the coding, they can also look at the track of application security, where we do the static application security testing, which is primarily a code review to find the vulnerabilities in the code that's been written up for the application, right? And then they can further shape up their career in terms of the red teamer or pen tester, and then the red teamer, how they can once they find the vulnerability, how it can be exploited, and what kind of an impact that it can create. They can still focus in terms of the threat modeling and then being a application security architect. So that's how the entire career is getting shaped up and progress for any individual who are getting into any substreams of cybersecurity. Okay, so given the circumstance of not having much time, I'm just going to give you a view of how a person picking up SOC as a stream, the Security Operations Center as a stream in cybersecurity, and how they can shape up how their career progression will be in this space, right? So that's what I'm going to talk about. And if you look at from the Security Operations Center, which holds the responsibility of securing the enterprise, right, from the threats, they are the one who's really looking at in terms of any external intrusion and the unauthorized access coming towards the organization. They are what we call them as a tier one or level one, or even we call them as a frontliners as well, right? So they are the one who will be looking at, they have the eyes on the glass. The L1 will be the person looking at all possible alerts that are coming to Security Operations Center, and then do some analysis based on the defined incident response runbook or the playbooks, and decide whether it is a true positive or false positive, right? So they are the one who actually be looking at the threats on a real time basis. And if I have to put it the way, a day in the life of security analyst, the moment
Mr.
they
Sankamesh, your voice is breaking a lot, and it's, I mean, going in and out. At least that's the case for me. If anyone can know if they are experiencing the same on chat. Yeah,
okay.
it's going in and out a lot, and a few of us we are facing issue. Anyway, please, Mr. Sankamesh, continue. Sorry for that.
Sure, no worries, no worries. I don't know about what's the issue, but yeah, I'm on a good network as well. Okay, so if you look at the security operations, if I have to put a day in the life of security analyst, they are the one who will be looking at having the eyes on the glass to look at the attacks in a real time, be it in terms of the phishing or denial of service attacks, or even in terms of any account compromise. All those things, when it gets triggered as an alert, they will be investigating it, and then they'll further escalate to level 2 or the tier 2 for the incident responders to do advanced analysis, right? And then if it requires additional level of analysis in terms of performing a threat hunting or the malware analysis or doing the forensic analysis, that's where it gets escalated to the level 3, and finally it gets rolled up to the security operations center manager, right? So this is how the entire security operations center will be operating, right? And if at all someone chooses to be taking security operations center as a stream, and this is how their career path will be, right? They start with as an L1 security analyst. I'll also be talking about what is their roles, responsibilities, and what skill set is required for them to be there. But just to give you a view in terms of how the progression happens when you start the career in security operations, right? So being an L1 SOC analyst, you can come with or without knowledge of cybersecurity, because it's primarily SOP driven, right? The run books driven. You will have certain set of instructions to follow, and you just need to follow for analyzing those alerts, and then appropriately escalate or dismiss that as a false positive whatsoever. But the moment you get into L1, when you gain relevant experience on it, and it also triggers what next for me, right? So going as a L2, again, there are multiple specialization that comes into place. So they can continue to be an incident responder, or they can also focus in terms of analyzing the malware, or getting into the threat intelligence space, or even you can be a content developer, right? Content developer is all about writing the use case scenarios of the threats, converting that back into correlation rule to detect such kind of a threats, right? So we all know about the brute force attack, right? So continuous attempt with invalid passwords for a specific user account, we call that as a brute force attack. If at all I have to detect such kind of an attack, obviously I have to write the rule, correlation rule, to look at 5 invalid attempts for a specific user account in a time interval of 3 minutes or 5 minutes, raise that as a brute force attack, right? So those kind of a conversion of the use case scenario back to the way the system or the platform understands by writing the appropriate query. That is the function of this content developer, right? So with L2, you have all these roles. And then if you look at L3, again, there are specific specialization based on that. And then they can further elevate in the role of SOC lead or a SOC SME, threat analyst, or the content lead. And then finally, they roll back or get progressed as a security operations manager, right? So this is an indicative list in terms of how the career will be progressed. So for the simplicity of how to choose, I had given what are the probable path that you can take when you choose some specific specialization as a L2. What are the other opportunities that are available? For an example, I'm just taking the example of being a malware analyst, right? So from a L1 SOC analyst, I'm interested in terms of doing a static and dynamic malware analysis, and then I can get into as an L3 as a malware analyst for doing the reverse engineering and all, or I can also get into forensic analysis as an L3. Similarly, if you look at from the intrusion analysts who are good in terms of the network security controls, understanding firewall, IDS, IPS, all those things, The path is like they can also get into forensic analysis, or they can get into the incident responder as a role in L3 as well, right? So the opportunities are humongous. The moment you get into the cyber and you start your career, you have a lot of options in front of us, in front of you, for you to pick and choose what you want to be. And ideally, what I would be saying to my team is, you should start planning to prepare yourself now itself for what you want to be in next 5 years, right? So it is not only about the process of, like what we spoke about is all about the process, but it is also about the technology. The cyber is one of the domain where we see the adoption of technologies is faster, and every other technology is having a lifespan of, in any every other domain, the lifespan of any technology is around 7 to 10 years, whereas in cybersecurity it is 2 to 3 years, right? So you need to choose wisely in terms of which is going to be the stream that is going to be helpful for you. And every stream that I showed in the previous slides, it is still relevant, and there are a lot of advancement happening in the respective technology by the OEM vendors, which I also showed you. Keep tracking on that and enhance your skills to do specialization. As you grow in the ladder in the cybersecurity stream, you might be expected to have a broader knowledge as well, right? So if you look at from the perspective, the highest role of for cyber security or information security is holding the position of CISO, Chief Information Security Officer, right? So they will be cutting that role will be cutting across all the streams, be it application security, network security, infrastructure security, cloud security, security operations, vulnerability assessment and management, pen testing, all those things, right? So it is to put together, or rather, like you need to have a broader aspect of the knowledge, right? So once you had chosen your path to do the specialization, and after a certain period it is been expected to have the knowledge spread across the different streams within cybersecurity. Okay, so given that context, probably I'll just come back to the SOC role itself, to give you the responsibilities, the roles and responsibilities of different roles that we had seen in the security operations, right? So the tier one of the L1 or the frontliners whom I referred, they are the one who will be looking at all the alerts, and then what we call as the eyes on the glass, right? Every time they'll be monitoring 24/7, making sure that like any alert that comes as a security incident, they do the triaging analysis and appropriately take decision either to dismiss or to escalate. And the moment it gets escalated to L2, we had seen different roles, right? One of the role is incident responder, where they will be doing the advanced analysis of that particular incident, and they are the one who will be deciding whether to initiate the containment, or can it be taken later, right? And they are the one who will also be having the situational awareness of what is happening in the threat landscape, and why we are seeing similar such kind of incidents that in our environment, and then bring much more contextual information around that particular alert in terms of who is actually including, who is targeting, and what asset or application is getting targeted, and what is their modus operandi, all those things. And then L3 will obviously be doing forensic analysis, and then they will be the lead investigator for investigating any kind of security incident, and they will be the bridge in terms of coordination with the different stakeholders to the security operations team who's working on the ground to orchestrate all the response activities. If you look at Malware Lead, of course, they will be the one who will be doing the reverse engineering, what we call that as a static analysis of the malicious file. It is all about uh, decompiling the actual payload of the malware, and also in terms of looking at the instructions, the code level information, about that particular malicious file in terms of understanding, what it is intended for and what it can do, the malicious file. So that is from a tier 3 perspective, malware lead, and from a tier 2 perspective, who's a malware analyst. They are the one who will be they'll be doing the initial analysis on the malware. They'll also be looking at in terms of what kind of exploit kit been used, and what kind of a network behavior it is exhibiting, and also correlate some of the related events associated with this particular malware incident and all. Forensic lead, of course, they are the one who will be doing the core analysis of the acquired image, or even forensic analysis, what we say. And they will be supported by the forensic analyst who will be looking at certain analysis, like host analysis, file system analysis, event log analysis, and also searching for specific evidence and then extracting the evidence, everything, and helping the forensic lead to create the forensic report attributed with the respective incident. And network traffic analysis, again, as I said, I had referred as an intrusion analyst. They'll be looking at the entire network intrusion, the traffic that is coming, whether it is a attack traffic or is it a reconnaissance probe, what kind of attack traffic is coming, what kind of which protocol is being used, which server being used, are they sending any attack probes in an encrypted channel. So this kind of entire traffic analysis, which is at the packet level, is done by this intrusion analyst or the network traffic analysts, right? Threat intel analyst, again, they will be looking at the entire threat landscape, collecting the intelligence about the ongoing threats, attacks, campaigns, who's behind that attack, why they are targeting, who's their target, what is the modus operandi, what kind of tactics and techniques that they use in the attack campaigns, right? So all those things are done by the threat intel analyst. And of course, the entire security operations is supported by the platform administrators to manage the SIM platform or a SOAR platform, whatever. And then the content administrators, as I said, they are the one who will be translating the use case scenarios or the threat scenarios back into the way that we can create an alert in the SIM platform, right? Writing the correlation rules or writing some policies, all those things. Hunting is an interesting aspect where it will be primarily done by the L3 because it requires a lot of knowledge about the threats, attacks, everything. So the primary focus for the threat hunters is to uncover the unknown threats in the organization, right? So that requires a lot of, that requires the person to write a lot of complex queries to uncover unknown threats in the environment. And it is primarily driven by hypothesis, right? When I say hypothesis, if at all, if I may have to put it with an example, like, I'm opening a PDF attachment that is coming from Hena to me, right? So I'm just opening it. In the back end, while it is opening reader.exe, which is an Adobe Acrobat reader, if it is also invoking a command prompt and executing some of the PowerShell scripts, which means the PDF that I received is actually a weaponized PDF, right? It is getting evaded by many controls, and then it is landing to my mailbox, and it is compromising my systems, right? How these things can be detected, right? So it can be detected by writing some advanced queries and applying the hypothesis. If this is happening, what is the trigger for it and what else it would have been done? So creating the hypothesis and writing some complex queries to uncover the unknown threats is the responsibility of the threat hunters. Of course, behavioral analysis is primarily an behavior-based threat anomaly detection. This is where we apply the machine learning and the artificial intelligence. This is purely on the data science aspect, where you can profile the behavior of an user and any outlier activity is treated as an incident, right? So I can talk about many other things. In the interest of time, I'll be rushing up for another few slides. If at all any questions, you can put it on the chat as well. So as a SOC manager, whatever we had spoken SOC manager holds the entire responsibility of the security operations, and he is the driving force for protecting the organization from all these threats. So while we have required controls like a firewall, IPS, IDS, antivirus, EDR, and whatnot, right? To protect the organization as a control perspective, but always those can be evaded, and we are seeing a lot of incidents and the threats coming in, right? So the responsibility of the security operations center is to make sure that like we detect all those threats and then initiate a containment activities and then bring it back to the normal, right? That's the responsibility of the security operations manager, to put it in a layman term, right? And of course, it doesn't come on its own. You have to build appropriate skills and the proficiency as well. The proficiency can be like foundation, intermediate, or advanced based on the role that you play and based on the experience that you get. But primarily, you need to have the skill set of understanding what you are working on, right? And especially I had listed on some SANS certification. You might ask like why not other certifications? That I'll be covering in the later part of the slide, but this is explicitly I brought it because the curriculum of this SANS certification is exclusively designed for being a L1 analyst, L2 analyst, and the L3 analyst, and also for the SOC manager, right? So getting into a cybersecurity, it's not completely on technical aspect. You need to have some interpersonal skills, and also in terms of some of the IT skills as well, not necessarily the security knowledge, but also some application development knowledge and also the network knowledge, everything. I'll I'll probably skip these things. Yeah, this is what I was actually talking about, the rest of the certifications that are available for pursuing career in cybersecurity. The link of that will be, put in the chat, but let me bring up that particular portal for everyone's benefit here because the image is so tiny. And if you look at, this is the portal where it is getting crowdsourced and being listed for adding all the security certifications which are relevant for anyone to pursue in cybersecurity. Again, with the different security streams. If you want to be in communication and network security, these are the certifications, and this portal also provides good information on what are the certifications that are available, its cost, and its landing page as well. Primarily, if we look at from the security operations space perspective, all these red colored ones are on for the security operations center, where they are expected to do or where they are expected to have the knowledge on threats, incidents, vulnerabilities, everything. Yeah, I'm just looking at this and then clicking onto this to give you a view of what that certification is all about and what is that particular course is about, certification is all about, right? So this way you will be able to figure out the available certifications for the respective stream. Okay. I'll be publishing this reference link of the portal shortly in the chat. And not necessarily be only on those certifications, but there are some other portals where you can learn on your own, what we call that as a range platform, cyber range platform, for you to practice yourself. So you can look at TryHackMe, Hack the Box, RootMe, and a platform like Kaipo. If at all you want to start learning about cybersecurity, the good start would be in terms of Infosys Springboard, NASSCOM, the Future Skills Prime portal, and also Cybrary. So these three portals will offer you a free course, or there are a few things as paid one as well in Cybrary and Future Skills Prime platform. So you can enroll for that. Hena will continue in terms of explaining you how the Future Skills Prime portal is designed and how you can navigate and look at the courses that are available in the platform, how you can take up that course as well. Infosys Springboard is actually a CSR activity, I would say, where we are having this particular platform, make it available to everyone at free of cost, with a lot of learning materials gone inside, including some of the courses on cybersecurity. Right? Cybrary again, it is a digital library of having a lot of books on cybersecurity. Right? You can log into that and have access to some of the free books, or if need be, you can enroll and pay subscription and gain access to some of the paid materials as well. Right? So just to conclude my session, I know I'm almost on top of the hour. So getting onto the cybersecurity is might be, for some people it might be by chance, for some people it might be by passion. But whomever it might be, because in this digital era, we are living in the world of connected and digital world, where we are expected to be vigilant and be aware about the security threats, and of course, as I said, a lot of threats are there, like phishing attack, voice phishing, smishing, all those things. Don't fall prey to that, and keep yourself updated about what is happening on the cyber security, both from the technology evolution advancement and also from the how the internet landscape is, right? So I usually conclude my note with this, like security is incomplete without you, because it's everyone's responsibility. And be secure, be aware, and be security aware. With this note, I'll hand it over to Hena for pursuing further. Over to you, Hena.
Thank you, Sangamesh. Okay, all right. All of you have gone through this very in-depth presentation. And thank you, Sangamesh, for taking us through the career plan of cybersecurity, the threats that we face every day, day in and day out. And then, of course, in very detailed manner, you have explained the career paths one can take and the roles and responsibilities for each of the career paths that we take. I hope this was as in depth for the audience. I can see through the various chats that we received that the audience is finding it very interesting as well. So thank you so much for the comments. Now over to, let me present my screen. So yes. This is time for quiz. I would request everyone, as we sent out the communication, we have a Spotify voucher, we have a quiz, and we have one question right after this slide, which would have the question. So the rule for playing this quiz is you have to answer within 30 seconds the answer to the question that we will display on the next slide. You have to answer in the chat box. The first one to answer the question correctly wins the Spotify voucher, and you have to respond to me, hina@nascom.in, to collect your vouchers. I hope the rules are clear. So over to the next slide for the question. Remember, be closer, keep your fingers close to the keyboard, and here goes the question. One second, I think my screen has frozen. Just allow me a minute. The question is, how many $1 million are lost to cyber crimes in 1 minute? This was the question this was the information that has been presented to you during the presentation. I'm repeating the question, how many $1 million are lost to cyber crimes in 1 minute? I hope you have gone through the presentation with very minute details. This was the information in the presentation. All right. I think we have given it enough seconds for people to answer. We have the answer as $2.9 million is lost in the cybersecurity damages per minute. So, Mr. Sangamesh, could you help me with who answered this particular answer first?
Samir is the person who had given the right
Samir.
answer first. Yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sangamesh. So, yeah, Samir, do reach out to me on hina@nascom.in, and I would be handing over you your Spotify vouchers. Congratulations on winning the quiz. Let me take you through the platform that we have, Future Skills Prime. It's a MeitY Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Government of India, and NASCOM initiative. You can see on the right hand screen of your presentation or your slide or your screen the QR code that will take you to the platform. Otherwise, I will also give you a demonstration of the platform, so no worries there. If you're not sure which particular technology to get skilled in, you can take the competency diagnostics on our platform. It will tell you, it can assess and tell you the aptitude you have for which technology. We have various foundational, bridge, and deep skilling courses, and you will receive certification after the course completion from NASCOM as well as the Government of India, Ministry of Electronics and IT certification. Most of the courses that we have are free of cost. Some which are paid are have the GOI incentives. So they are incentivized by the Government of India. You can showcase your skill passport and share your skills on the skills or the badges that you receive on the platform, on your social media platforms or networking platforms like LinkedIn. This is the kind of certification that the lady here is holding. This is the kind of certification that you would be receiving. Plus point is that while you do this certification, you would get some credits for some credits in your academic curriculum. So you don't have to worry of spending extra hours in your certifications. These are national credit framework arranged, and this will be aligned, and this will be credited to your academic points. As we said, the Future Skills Prime platform is basically to make you aware of the technologies and for you to help in your career journey, so that when you emerge from your college, or even if you are in your early stage of your career, you emerge, you are industry ready, you are job relevant, and as soon as you get out of your college, you are industry ready, and you have enhanced your employability. So these are some of the 11 emerging technology that we provide the certifications in, as well as for early stage professionals, we have 10 soft skills that you can certify yourselves on the platform that we have, Future Skills Prime. Okay, time for me to give you a demonstration of the platform. This is the Future Skills platform, and you can see we give various discounts on the certification, 80% discount, and recently we have been ranked as rank 3 and ranked 1 in the European Commission's 2024 Pact for Skills report. So we are recognized globally. And let's say you go up to this red button over here, you sign up, and I have kind of signed up for you in advance, and let's say you type in the search bar cybersecurity, you will see various courses that we have under channels, and you would see various courses from Microsoft. You can follow the channels, you can follow the cards, and as and when a new course is launched, a new course is deployed, you will see all those courses over here. Courses for cybersecurity courses, and you just have to click interested in. As I said, a lot of the courses are eligible for Government of India incentives, and those will be incentivized by the Government of India. And then when you do complete your courses, you can see all the badges that you have received in your profile. This is my profile. I have completed a few badges, and you can have your skill passport over here. I have completed 5 badges, basically related to communication. That is my field. Chat GPT key elements of prompts, Gen AI effectively, etc., and etc. Without taking much time, I'll go back to the presentation. And now we have, as I can see, now we have the time for Q&A. I would take up a few questions.
So
Let's
Hina,
take a few questions with our expert. Yes.
there were some questions
Yes.
in the chat, so I'm trying to answer those questions one by one. I'm just putting it on the chat itself.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. Okay.
Shall we take it up here for the benefit of the entire audience so that if they have the similar doubt, then we can answer them online?
Yeah, sure, sure. I'm also answering the questions that are put up on the chat.
Jay Singh has asked this question, the best certification, is it CISSP or CEH?
Yeah, so CISSP is a broader domain-specific certification. It is completely a non-technical, but it covers every single aspect of cybersecurity or the information security. It goes depth in terms of theoretical knowledge. However, CEH is a Certified Ethical Hacker course from ASIC Council. That certification is primarily focused in terms of testing your penetration testing skills, right? Doing the vulnerability scan and how it can be exploited. Literally testing of technical controls. So CISSP is a domain-specific theoretical certification, whereas CEH is completely a hands-on and technical certification. Both are required, in fact. Based on the role the person is playing in the organization, it is very much important for you to be certified in the respective technology. That's why, like, if you are choosing your career as a ethical hacker or a pen tester, CEH is required. But recommendation is to have CASSP for every single individual who are pursuing cybersecurity as a stream.
Okay, thank you, Sangamish. Next question we have, this is a question that we get often. Will the AI be used in the coming time to automate the tasks that are currently done by analysis? This is a question by Mr. Faisal.
Yes, of course, right. The discussions are incomplete without talking about AI or Gen AI in the recent times, right? So, of course, artificial intelligence is going to play a major role in the cybersecurity space. If you look at the way of how the industry is going, everyone is talking about the co-pilot or security co-pilot, which means the respective technology is going to be AI powered. With that in place, there's a lot of automations that have been brought in in either in the security operations or cloud security or even the governance, risk and compliance by introducing AI, and it can take informed decisions which are data driven and orchestrate the actions. There's a huge opportunity and potential of AI getting implemented in cybersecurity.
Sure.
So I see one
Next,
of
we have a question from, does blockchain help cybersecurity?
yes, blockchain, of course, blockchain security is also being looked at. So when we look at the blockchain by bringing in, we are making sure that there's a complete chain of events where you can be rest assured that there is no tampering, and also making sure you can rely on it. Security plays a major role. There are two things that we are looking at. Blockchain is one of the recent technology where security has been considered right from the beginning, from the inception phase itself, right? So that's why it has been success in many of the areas where they implement the blockchain technology, ensuring the authenticity of the entire process that has been done, right? Yeah. So in the interest of time, we'll take one last question, Hina. we can even answer the.
I think, okay, sure. One more question. Let me see which one to choose. One question from Bangaru Babu Bui is inscription is a must in IT industry. It has so much positive uses, but simultaneously its drawback. There are a lot of drawbacks when we consider ransomware. Attack can be launched entirely within the office network when we consider risk source. How can we be protected from such risks?
Okay, see, as I said, we are bringing in a lot of security measures in terms of the tools, technologies, and also reducing the risk, right? Practicing basic hygiene is very much important for you to protect the assets, and also making sure that like you are reducing the overall risk. So it is all about what is your risk appetite, and the residual risk, whether you are accepting the risk, or how are you treating the risk, right? Either by accepting the risk, or mitigating it by having some additional controls, or by transferring it by taking cyber insurance, or you are just ignoring it, or rather you are accepting it. So it all depends on what is the level of the risk that is getting introduced, right? Even we take a ransomware as a threat, it is a high risk to the organization, but appropriate controls, measures, and the processes has been put in place to reduce the overall risk from high to medium, or medium to low, and also do a risk assessment in terms of understanding what is the residual risk. Can it be accepted? Can it be transferred? Right? Transferred in the sense like even something happens, at least you have a cyber insurance in place to
Sure.
render back.
Sure. Thank you so much, Mr. Sangamesh, for sharing your valuable insights. This was really one of the most insightful, informational, and in depth sessions that we had for our audience. I hope the audience enjoyed it as much as I did. And thank you so much for the lovely audience for the patience that you have held for this entire episode of this Tech Pathshala. If you do want to follow Mr. Sangamesh and want to hear his thoughts more, you can follow him or me or Future Skills Prime on the platform on our upcoming sessions, Tech Career Mantra, Tech Pathshala, wherein we do multiple sessions on how to become career, market ready, job ready, industry ready, and how to future proof your career. So thank you so much everyone for joining in. Hope you have a great rest of the day today. Thank you so much.
Thanks everyone.